few years ago, I met an author named Erica Mitchell at a conference. If that doesn't sound like a big deal to you, you might recognize her pen name, E.L. James. In 2011, E.L. James published her wildly popular Twilight fanfiction, Master of the Universe, but she changed the names so that it was no longer a Twilight fanfiction. And then in 2012, a publisher picked it up and published it as 50 Shades of Grey, a book that has made millions and millions of dollars, has spun off movies, and has made E.L. James this powerhouse, well-known household name with millions upon millions of dollars. In fact, 50 Shades of Grey and the series as a whole has made her over $100 million. But most authors never sell more than 1,000 books in their lifetime. So we can talk about these big authors making millions and millions of dollars and getting theme parks and getting movies and getting all of these spin-offs, but then we also talk about the other side of the coin of these authors who cannot pay rent, who are eating ramen noodles on a rent-to-own couch. But here's the secret you don't hear about. It's not either 0 or 50 Shades level of success. It's not being broke and living in a shed or flying on a private jet. There is an in-between, and that is where thousands and thousands of authors live and make a living and pay their bills and feed their family and don't have to work a full-time job or don't have to worry about the fluctuations in the economy to survive. There is an in-between, and it's super achievable, which I know because I've done it, and I've helped over 3,000 authors do the same thing. So obviously, the first thing you need to do is write a book. If you are curious about what to write about and you have no idea and you've, written short stories or you've done a little bit of writing and you do a lot of reading but you don't know what to write, let's keep in mind the top-selling genres of romance, mystery thriller, religious fiction, sci-fi fantasy, and horror. Plus, keep in mind that a lot of these genres are really easy to combine. There is a huge market for Christian romance or urban fantasy thrillers where your main character is not just solving crimes, but she happens to be a vampire. Not to mention the huge market of romantasy that has blown up even more since Fourth Wing came out. And authors in the middle of the road, authors who are mid-list, authors who aren't on the New York Times or the USA Today bestseller list are making a crap ton of money. Hell, Lee Savino, who I interviewed in a previous video, is not a household name, but she makes over $1 million a year with her books. I personally got my start writing paranormal romance, where my main character was doing cool things and also got to do it with a bunch of vampires or dragon shifters or werewolves or monsters or whatever. I've also since then added a bunch of other pen names in different genres. I write my contemporary billionaire romance under Kate Hall. I'm also getting ready to launch a monster romantasy pen name as Catherine Hall. And guess what? I make money with all of it. I make money from all of my books, and it's not because I'm a master writer and I'm the best writer in the world and I write perfect books. In fact, if you look at my reviews, if you look at my comments, there are plenty of people who are going to say, my writing is garbage. But guess what? The people commenting these things on my content are not making a living from their book 99% of the time. The people commenting these things on my content and being angry that I'm not writing, perfect intellectual books, these people are not making money from their books 99% of the time. While there is nothing wrong with writing intellectual books and writing books with the most beautiful prose that you've spent years working on, there's also nothing wrong with writing fun books that people overall enjoy reading. The reason my books sell has nothing to do with the quality of my writing, it has to do with the quality of my marketing. My books sell because I am good at marketing them. Full stop. E.L. James sold the hell out of her book because she is good at marketing, and then she ended up with a marketing team who was very good at marketing. Romantasy sells well because a lot of people are good at marketing it, whether they are the authors themselves or if it is people and influencers on Book Talk doing the marketing for them. Spy thrillers do super well because they're very marketable and they're easy to market to a very specific and consistent and reliable group of people. The reason anyone makes money from their books is because of marketing. But don't worry, it does not have to be hard. So let's look at how I market my books and the changes I'm making to sell more books in 2025 and into 2026. If you want to skip all the research and guesswork, make sure to check out the link in the description that has helped over 3,000 authors make a full-time living from their books. So the first thing we're going to do, and the first thing everyone complains about, is short-form video. Now, I actually recently had a meeting with someone who said, you know what, no, I don't want to do short form video. It's too much effort. I don't have all of the time to put into this. But really, you don't need to show your face. You don't need to be constantly making and generating new content. You just have to be consistent with one content type. I really like photo slideshows on TikTok specifically because they sell more books than videos when you convert views and favorites into sales. But you can also make videos that are just like aesthetic videos of your book with your hooks laid over them. The important thing is to post consistently. Post every single day. Post twice a day. Post 5 times a day. Post 500 times a day across hundreds of different accounts. The main point is that one single post overall is not going to make you rich and famous, okay? You have to be consistent, because the chances of one post blowing up and making you a ton of money and you never have to work again is super small. But being consistent with it and posting all the time and posting good content all of the time is where you're going to start to see consistent income, because mid-list income is still really damn good income. But how do you make good content that sells? How do you make content and, pull things from your books and do your blurbs? Well, the thing is, I never post blurbs from my books. I use hooks that use strong, relatable emotions that sell my books super, super well. My favorite thing to hit on is like rejection, loneliness, and insecurity, because this is something everyone can relate to in some way. We've all felt left out or alone or insecure in some way, shape, or form. So when you use hooks that hit on that insecurity, you are going to make a lot more sales. This is an example of one of the ones that I use, and I'm using a video format right now as a change that I'm doing for 2025, and that's so I can mass post across different social media channels and still be consistent. I use Vista Social as a post scheduler, but you can use pretty much any post scheduler to do this, because all you need to do is, you guessed it, schedule your posts. So to be consistent, and when I know I have hooks that are doing well and that will convert well because of what has performed well in the past, and because I've analyzed the data on my different posts to see what's consistently performing, I can post consistently. I can post multiple times a day, and I'm posting on a bunch of different platforms to hit different audiences, all with the same type of content. And that's because the content is short, it's not more than 20 seconds long, and that's specifically for the video content, because content that is shorter and has people watch all the way through once or even twice is going to have a higher likelihood of going viral on things like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, versus super long content that people might not finish, but they watch for a long time. So I post these videos that are super easy to watch, super easy to digest, and I make my text about 2.5 seconds per slide for this content. The next thing that you want to have to make money from your books and to consistently make money and build your career is a mailing list. This is the number one thing that if I had to start over, I would absolutely do. Because guess what? When my first series started making me a ton of money and I made like $40,000 in 6 months from that series, I did not have a mailing list, and I never set one up, and I always said, well, I'll get it set up later. I'll get it set up later. But guess what? When the time came for my next series to come out, nobody knew it existed because I didn't have an audience. So make sure that you set up a mailing list, and I always set mine up with a scene from the next book or a bonus scene about the characters in that book where people can sign up for the mailing list and get that scene. And I let it be known within the book. At the very end of the book, when people are done reading, I will say, if you want more of these characters, make sure to sign up for my mailing list because you will get this bonus scene where they do XYZ. The reason a mailing list is so important is that you are in control of your list. You will always have this list, whereas TikTok can ban your account at any time, or Facebook can shut down your group. but you have access to this mailing list at all times. I fairly regularly download my updated list as a CSV file in case my website shuts down or my mailing list provider gets shut down. And the best thing about your mailing list is that you have a direct link to your readers versus having to depend on an algorithm. There are basically no social media profiles that are based off of the time somebody posted something. They are all based on algorithms right now. Instagram is based on an algorithm. Facebook shows its posts based on an algorithm, not based off the time posted. So if you want control of people seeing your posts and reliably seeing your posts, you have to have a mailing list so that you can be in their inbox with your books. If you're ready to start selling more books today without all the guesswork, without having to look up how to do all of this, make sure to check out the link in the description.